So, did we get the tips? I think we did. No, we did not. Alright. So, we last left off. After a very eventful cooking contest of curry, which we sort of won, kind of, depending on how you look at it. And made some very, well, reaffirmed our connections with our good allies. Yeah, then, hello, welcome. We also ran into Shion, who is apparently Mion's little twin sister. But Mion acts so fishy around it, and the circumstances around it are so weird. It doesn't seem real. It seems very odd. I say something's up, but I don't know. This author has a way of doing things like that. Anyway, this is the tip. It was delicious.
Oi, Mion.
Hi, Mion. Here. What is it, Kei-chan? I thrust the bento box she'd given me yesterday at her face. Oh yeah, Shion came to our place last night after the events because we didn't eat anything and gave us a bento box. But Shion is apparently in Okinomiya, the city, not the town here. So why would she do that day of? It just, things don't quite fit together. Right. And this is us returning the box to Mion because Shion said so. That's gonna get tough to explain. I thrust the bento box you'd given me yesterday at her face and had the food you gave me in it. Thanks. It was great. Mion's face quickly flushed bright red. Hey now, you were the one pretending to be Shion when you gave it to me. You're gonna give it away if you get all red like that when you're being Mion. At this rate, she might trip and fall right into her own grave, so I decided to help her out. Listen, I was pretty hungry yesterday. Out of the blue, Shion came all the way to my house and gave me some food in a bento box. This is that box. Make sure you wash it out. Right. Shion's really considerate, huh? Because, like, how is this not fishy? That was so transparent. Was Mion always this terrible at lying? Her expression was different than usual, but it looked strangely cute. So, what did you think? You two are like peas in a pod. You're twins, right? Obviously, you'd look the same. Not that. Mion looked kind of bewildered, like she was waiting for a specific answer. Once she said impression, maybe she didn't mean Shion, but the bento? Oh, of course. It was delicious. Is it really? I never lie about liking food. I say something's good, and it's objectively good. You can feel free to give me my recommendation to every single person you meet. Tell Shion it was seriously great. Alright? Okay. Tell Shion, right? I will. I think she'll be happy. We're going along with Shion having given it to me, not Mion, aren't we? Yet her laugh, it came from deep down, and it sounded really happy. I guess she really can laugh nicely enough that just looking at her makes me feel better too. A sarcastic remark made its way into my tongue, but I swallowed it back. As Mion went to put the bento box in her bag, she noticed a clattering noise. Okay, Chan, there's something inside, huh? Wow. She opened it? The thing inside was a little embarrassing, so I wish she hadn't opened it here. Panicking, I hit it with my hands. Just a whole bunch of geniuses in this area, aren't there? Well, this is... My mother told me to put them in as thanks. I didn't come up with it or anything. Don't get the wrong idea. It's so pretty. Candy. There was a handful of candies, neatly wrapped in paper, inside the sparkly clean bento box. When I was cleaning the box out yesterday in the sink, Mom came over and interrogated me, and I fessed up as to who had given me the food. Then she told me that something like this called for a display of gratitude. I didn't want to, because it was embarrassing, so I argued that it wouldn't be like me to do that. Well, that's what happened. I mean, I was so embarrassed it felt like fire might shoot out of my face. Mion, laughing the whole thing off like she usually did, would be fine, but for some reason, she was staring at the candy in the box with fascination. Thank you. Just don't thank me. Thank my mom. She put them in there. Besides, you're not the one I need to be thanking, right, Mion? Those are for Shion, okay? Right. You're right. Okay. I'll be sure to tell Shion. I just know she'll be happy. Mion, looking a little downtrodden, put the lid back on the box. Seemed like I ended up saying a little mean at the end. Mii-chan, you look sort of cozy today. Did something happen? Did it? Perhaps she's caught a fever? The red in her face is probably due to the increased body temperature. Hey, Rika, why are you petting my head? Satoko, I'm sure you'll be able to catch fevers soon enough. Pet to pet. Higurashi when they cry. Welcome to Hinamizawa. It's like... I want to believe it, but I just can't. I might have explained this before, but phys ed at our school is really just an exercise in disorder. After some random warm-ups, the rest of the time is spent doing whatever. You're free to cause a ruckus or just fall asleep. This actually sounds pretty good. I'm not really sure, but doesn't the Board of Education have some sort of curriculum for this? Something like, when you're this old, you should have this amount of physical ability? I have no idea what you're saying, Keiichi-san. It's rather difficult to understand. Well, you see, it's something like a rule for teachers to follow during class. Maybe you weakling city folk need something like that. But do you really think us country-raised kids would lag behind in physical activity? We're better athletes than you would think, Keiichi. Come to think of it, they might be right. A good fair amount of them. If we all lined up for a race, there was a good chance I'd finish dead last if I didn't start off well. Let's just pray that when a brutal penalty game is at stake, the 100-meter dash isn't a club activity. I get the feeling it might be at some point. On that note, I watch too much television, so I'm fantastically tired. I'll be using this time to catch up on my sleep. It's fourth period and I'm completely starved. If I didn't sleep now, when will I ever? As I began to sprawl out on top of a pipe, Mion grabbed me by the collar. Do you really think I'd let you sleep in peace and quiet? With that look on your face, it'd require more courage to try and take a nap than not. Good grief. Which means... is it gonna start again? Now, Just killing time with idle chit-chat until the bell rings is impossible for us hot-blooded youth, isn't it? Shall we start a club activity? Just as I thought, it's come to this. What's today's game? There goes the music. Something is bound to happen. Shenanigans abound. Now that this is happening, taking a nap is impossible. Not just that. With this sleep-deprived head of mine, I'm as good as mincemeat. I have to get my brain into gear. Rena thinks that we should decide what today's penalty game should be before we start. Rena knows what's up. I've prepared something super special today. She began to announce the cruel penalty game with a grand, finishing flourish. But before she could do that, I'm sorry. I have something that I wanted to do. Of all people, it was Rika-chan announcing her non-participation. Even rare events do eventually occur. Losing her timing, Mion spun like a top as she tumbled to the ground. What's the matter? Are you not feeling well? Oh, that's right. Mi-chan, she has to practice for the Watanagashi. That's right. It's this Sunday. Rika is in the middle of super serious training right now. I've been working too hard lately, so my arms hurt. I see. Well, there's nothing that can be done. There's no point in doing anything if we can't get everybody together. Today, let's just take it easy. I'm very sorry, but I'll try my best. Yeah, good luck. We'll be cheering you on. When Mion announced that today's club activity was cancelled, Rika-chan and Satoko headed off behind the school building. Only I was left alone, completely clueless as to what everybody was talking about. What was that about? Is Rika-chan training for a competition or something? Huh? Didn't you get the notice at your house, Kei-chan? Wasn't it written there? The Watanagashi festival is this Sunday. You guys did tell me about the festival before. That's right. Rika-chan is on the festival committee, isn't she? Does it have something to do with that? Rika-chan is the shrine maiden for the Watanagashi. She has to perform a ritual dance. It's practice for that. Huh? Come to think of it, I have a feeling Mom did say something about it during dinner the other day. So Rika-chan plays the part of a shrine maiden? I see. Mom did say that futons, padded cloaks and stuff were made as offerings. So does that mean the cotton stuffing gets pulled out during a dance or something? Oh, I figured you might guess right, Kei-chan. The Watanagashi, or Cotton Drift Festival, is, as the name implies, where we set cotton drift down the river. They all pile futons up on the altar. The Watanagashi is a festival that happens at the shrine on a Sunday every June. It's very lively. Mion and Rena nodded back at me, looking a bit impressed. It seemed that my observations were on mark. Although, when I first heard about it, I imagined piling futons up in the swamp. But that'd block the river and be a real pain to clean her up after. I've heard of people leaving offerings of things like needles or kitchen knives to their ancestors, or to causalities of war. But an offering of futons is the first for me. What's the story behind that? Nah, give me a sec. I can't remember where. Running low on disk space, give me a sec. There we are. I gotta clean that. Oh no, it's on these streams I'm always recording, and I do it every day, and so they just pile up, and I forget to clean it out every so often. So I get a little notification, warning, low on disk space, fix it. So I gotta go take stuff out of there, put it in the place over here, and then do a big one later. It's no biggie. Just annoying, and I'm forgetful and lazy, so it happens. I've heard of people leaving offerings of things like needles or kitchen knives to their ancestors, or to causalities of war, but an offering of futons is first for me. What's the history behind that? Mion tilted her head pensively. I don't think there's a complicated backstory to it. The winters around here are pretty harsh, so things like warm futons and coats to ward off the cold are fairly important, I guess. Ah, I see. In other words, it's something like giving thanks to the futons that took care of you during the winter then. Then the Shrine Maiden holds a memorial service for them and sets them adrift. That's what the Watanagashi is? Mion and Rena indicated that I had the correct answer with a round of applause. And you see? And you see? That Shrine Maiden performing the memorial is Rika-chan. No. The Rika-chan is the Shrine Maiden. Now that you mention it, Rika-chan does have a mystical air about her. Right? Right? Rika-chan is the Shrine Maiden outfit. So cute. It certainly does seem like it would suit her. Yeah, it might be cute. I finally get what you're saying. Rika-chan's training is for a performance as a Shrine Maiden then. That would be it. Yep. The Shrine Maiden has to purify a number of futons as part of the ceremony. It's practice for that. It's a lot of hard work. The Shrine Maiden has to carry a large ceremonial hoe as part of the rite, and it's really heavy for Rika-chan. Well, Rika-chan is pretty small. Exactly how heavy is that hoe? It's pretty heavy. Enough that Rika-chan has been practicing with a mochi mallet. Wait a minute. That's way too heavy. Forget about Rika-chan, that'd be rough even for me. It's a sacred ceremonial hoe. If she dropped it by accident, it'd be big trouble. Well, it's a once a year kind of deal. All we can do is cheer from the sidelines. It'll be okay. She pulled it off last year. Really? And then the least I can do is cheer her on. Even something that little would help, right? I was rather curious about exactly how she practiced. Mion laughed as she shook her head. Leave her alone. If you go, Rika-chan will get all cute and won't be able to practice. I didn't quite understand what Mion was saying. You see, Rika-chan doesn't like showing people how hard she works. Okay? So just leave her be. Even the always cool and aloof Rika-chan has times when she sweats while giving it her all. Because she was always so well put together, she didn't want people to see an ungainly side of her. It's not like I couldn't understand that feeling. All I can do is pray for her success, huh? Do your best! Rika Fude! I'm cheering for you! Well then, I climbed up onto the pipe and plopped down on my side. Hooray! Hooray! Rika-chan! In order to transmit more of my psychic waves of encouragement, I'll be entering a meditative state now. You're just gonna sleep after all? Well, why not? The lackadaisical noontime ended up giving way to mind-numbing afternoon classes. Rebounding from yesterday's hunger, I ate too much for lunch today, leaving me in a horrible condition. I might have gorged myself a bit too much. I'll have to endure afternoon classes. Keiichi-kun, you had an amazing appetite today. Basically, you always eat like a pig. But today was on a whole different level. Yesterday I skipped lunch, right? That hunger just soaked right in. This time, no matter how much I ate, my hunger knew no bounds. I get you. But really, Kei-chan, you always finish your lunch down to the last bite. Heck, even down to the last grain of rice. With food, you show your appreciation for the person who made it by eating it, you know. If you leave any behind, it's rude to the person who put in all that effort. It's not quite how it is in America. Hearing that, Mion's eyes momentarily widened in surprise, followed by a cool laugh. Kei-chan, really? At first glance, you seem unruly and irresponsible, but you're actually pretty conscientious. Well-disciplined, or something like that. Oh yeah, Rena thinks so too. Keiichi-kun is a lot kinder than he looks. Both of them were probably trying to compliment me, but I had a strange feeling I wasn't being complimented at all. It's not true. I just wanted to say that there's a big gap between your appearance and your personality. I'm saying that's not a compliment. Hey. Sonozaki-san, Maebara-kun, we're in the middle of class. How far did you get, Sonozaki-san? Bring your notes up here. Startled, Mion vocalized a rather easy-to-understand utterance. She was so enthralled in the conversation, she had stopped working completely. Doing alright? You haven't progressed at all. You're in the highest grade, so you have to shape up. That Mion, it looks like she's getting lectured. Poor bastard. Appearances can be deceiving, in other words. Actually, appearance might be the opposite of reality. I get the feeling that's a very, very, very accurate statement in this story. So specifically how we... You say some interesting things. Responding to Rena's seemingly profound statement, I turned my gaze to where Satoko was happily studying together with Rika-chan. Are you saying that Brat Satoko is actually really meek? If I went by what Rena literally said, then that would be the case. I could hardly imagine Satoko being meek and gentle like a girl in some fairy tale. Satoko-chan's been rude lately, but just a while ago she was pretty different. She acted really spoiled, and always... Yep. Keep this a secret from Satoko-chan, okay? Satoko? Acting so cute? For Satoko to play coy, I think that would be some part of some calculated plot. Even if she was to hide behind someone, I wouldn't think it was because she was attached to them. But since it came up, I tried to imagine a gentle and coquette Satoko. Hey, Satoko. Shit. What is it, Oni-sama? Satoko smiled cutely and walked towards me. By the way, for every 3 steps forward Satoko took, for some reason I took 3 steps away. Oni-sama, why are you running away? Sorry, Satoko. For you to approach me with an affectionate smile on your face, I just have to think it's some sort of trap. That's so mean. Oni-sama, you meanie. Sorry, I didn't intend to be so mean. The weeping Satoko came closer to me. I'm a sucker for tears. That will be your utter downfall, man. Click. Clank. What did I just say? Huh? A bear trap? My leg was being clamped down on my jagged metal teeth. You fell for it. Now for the next part. Satoko raised her right arm triumphantly, and traps began to trigger one after another. Suddenly the wall sprang forward, throwing me 3 blocks away. And there I saw a giant metal ball covered in spikes hurtling towards me. On top of that, in the direction the ball would knock me, was a giant guillotine. I'm not really sure, but Keiichi-kun, you're not thinking of anything completely ludicrous right now, are you? No. Not at all. Not really. Not at all. That's a lie. You've got the kind of look on your face that says, I'm going to be crushed by a giant spiked metal ball. How could my expression convey what I was thinking like that? Sorry. Imagining a meek and gentle Satoko is impossible right now. Is she able to break the 4th wall and read the text right there or something? I'll try again when I'm in better shape. Next, I looked over at Rika-chan, who was working diligently on some kanji drills. In contrast to Satoko, her default state was meek and gentle. If Rika-chan came at me saying, "Oni-sama," I'd hug her. Tightly. I could get used to that. But you're supposed to think it's the other way around. Keiichi-kun, you're drooling. Sorry. Then, how about Rika-chan? Are you saying that her appearance is deceiving as well? Saying that out loud, I felt a tinge of doubt. Was Rika-chan really all sweet? Despite her appearance, she really was quite sly. Sweetly, how do you put it? Evading things deftly? I get the feeling that Rika-chan isn't only just sweet. Her appearance is definitely deceiving. I couldn't put exactly what I was imagining into words, but Rena managed to say what I wanted to. She turned to me with an impish look in her eyes, like she was saying, "Ah, you shouldn't say something like that. When Rika-chan grows up, I'm sure she'll become an incredibly devilish beauty, with men wrapped all around her little finger. Don't you think that would be cool?" Rena said that lightheartedly, but I, as a man, couldn't laugh at that. The scary part about that was that it felt like it could be true. Noticing my gaze, Rika-chan turned towards me and let loose with an angelic smile. Both Rena and I, feeling as if this was directed towards us personally, had our hearts skip a beat. Oh, so cute, so cute. Rena, your nose is bleeding. Appearances can be deceiving, no? Well then, what about our dear leader Mion? I stared at her as she tried to weasel her way out of her scolding by the teacher. By Rena's theory, that unrefined, calculating, conniving Mion also had a side of her that bellied appearances. Then what you're saying is that Mion, despite her appearance, is actually a good person? Mi-chan is a good person. Oh, that is true. But what I'm trying to say is... Yep, I know what you're trying to say, Keiichi-kun. Catching on that I was struggling to express my feelings as words, Rena smiled even more brightly. So what? Mi-chan is mysterious, right? She's a girl, but it's like she's a guy. Alright. I'm not going to think too hard on that. That's right. Mion was more than aware that she was a girl, but it was exactly as Rena said. When Mion livened up the mood, it wasn't as though she felt like a guy or a girl specifically, but a friend of the same gender. That part should be normal. With most friends, just be yourself. If you were a guy, we'd probably be like 2 peas in a pod. Although, that's the same way as it is right now. But you see, even that Mi-chan is actually really feminine. Rena, how much did Mion pay you exactly? That's not true. Jeez, we might have a serious conversation, you know? Rena began to pout. Now probably wasn't the right time to joke around. Mi-chan is the club president, so she's trying hard to lead everybody. But she's really a very cute girl. I really don't want you to forget that, Keiichi-kun. Rena's gaze focused off into the distance, beyond where Mion was. The Mion that I met at Angel Moor was unimaginably different compared to the Mion that I normally knew. Flustered and hesitant from the unfamiliar job, it was a far cry from the brash and confident Mion. Even though she had a hurry to work, she went through all the trouble to bring me food when I was on the brink of starvation. And she did so not as Mion, but as Shion. What exactly was Shion to Mion? What kind of person was Mion exactly? Keiichi-kun probably couldn't even begin to imagine. As if to say it was our little secret, Rena held her finger up to her lips as she giggled. Mion, finally free from the teacher's preaching, returned to her seat, cradling her head to hide her embarrassment. This old man, you see, thinks that grade school is enough for everything you need to study for in life. Saying that, she plopped down into her seat, violently. Mion was actually really feminine. Right. I wonder if I can see Shion again. Meet Shion again. I want to talk to her again. Clang, clang. The principal waved around the bell that served as the school chime. The teacher rushed to the blackboard and began to list everybody's homework assignments. Oh, it looks like there's going to be a lot of homework today. Gotta buckle down. Well then, that means even Rena? What do you mean? Appearances can be deceiving. Would that apply to you too? Huh? Keiichi-kun, how do you see me? How? How? The Rena Ryugu that I knew sometimes took things too far, but was generally a kind and gentle ideal girl. Really? Really? Then that makes me happy, I guess. If she was the opposite of what she seemed, that would make her... And if you were really the opposite? Just try saying it. I won't be mad. That's what I felt she meant. Rena is... Rena is? Even if you were the opposite, you'd still be Rena, right? This question shouldn't have been so nerve-wracking to answer. Maybe it was because the person in question was staring at me. That has a big thing to deal with it. But even saying that took a strange amount of effort. That's not fair, Keiichi-kun. It bothers me when you say it that way. Perhaps unable to endure my silence, Rena's face began to burn red with embarrassment. Rena! Kei-chan! Let's go home. Mion walked over and started getting ready to go home. Whenever school is over, she really does get noticeably more energetic. Thank you. Ultimate power. It was the same relaxing walk home as always. Digging around my pocket on a whim, I noticed something that should have been there was missing. What's the matter, Kei-chan? The key to my house I always carry around is gone. Yeah, where did I lose it? It's fine today since my parents are home, but still, this is bad. It sure is troublesome. Did you forget it somewhere? Or did you drop it? Which one was it? Did I take it with me this morning in the first place? Huh? Kei-chan, did that key have anything make it stand out? Yeah, it's on a keychain. It was a blue fur seal, something I made for summer homework a long time ago. Huh? Does it have its eyes shut like it's taking a nap? Oh, how did you know? Yeah, that's it. Mion looked away and began to whistle. Steve? You went for dinner at Angel Mort a couple days ago, right? That night, the staff found a key. And there was a fur seal keychain attached to it. As she said that, she suddenly grew flustered and added that Shion had told her about it. So, I dropped it then? But aren't you glad they found it? I'm sure they're looking after it for you. That's right. Why don't you go? Shion looks the same as me. She'll know her by sight. That was a rather unexpected development. Once again, I had no choice but to go and meet with Shion. But I also had to thank her for the bento from yesterday. Besides, taking some time and chatting with this other side of Mion might be interesting. Half jokingly, I began to think about things like this. Right. Angel Morton, was it? I'll head over to Shion's restaurant and get my key back. While I'm at it, having a nice spot of tea might not be a bad idea. You sound like an English gentleman. That totally doesn't suit you, Kei-chan. Is this the restaurant? The one that Mi-chan's little sister is working at? Yeah. Why don't we go together, Rena? I'm sorry to disappoint you. I have plans with my father today. What is her family like, by the way? Some other time. Rena seemed pretty disappointed about having to miss such a great opportunity. Said they're twins, but do they really look that much alike? I have to mistake which is which? Yeah, they're totally the same. At least on the outside. Unlike Mion, she's well-mannered and really cute, though. In response to my teasing, Mion pouted and began to argue with me. I couldn't help but burst out laughing at Mion's little farce. After all, they weren't just identical, they were the same person. After going home, I changed my clothes and dug my bike out of the garage. Just thinking that I would be able to meet Shion again gave me a mysterious feeling. Shion, a name for a different kind of Mion. She was a mysterious and ridiculous person, believing she had fooled everyone like that. I noticed that I was pedaling along quite happily. Could it be that I was looking forward to meeting Shion? I felt a sense of giddy anticipation, like I was headed towards a new friend's house for the first time. What Rena said about Mion actually being really feminine sprang to mind once again. The guilt from spying on another side of Mion, the self-consciousness from being the only one that knew about that side. These feelings mixed together. That was Shion for you. Mion's little twin sister. Until she felt like coming out and admitting she was Mion, it was fine to just call her Shion, right? Mion might be trying to have some fun by acting out a different persona. As I reached the top of the steep hill, the horizon expanded before me. I was almost at the station. The last time I wasn't embarrassed since I was here with Dad, but this time I was alone. I was strangely self-confident and conscious about it. Meet Shion, get my key back. That was all this task was supposed to be. If I dawdled around like this, maybe Shion would find me before she headed in for work. Hey, what are you doing, Keiichi Maibara? You're just here to get your key back, you know? It's not like you're some love-struck schoolboy here to hand over a love letter. The thoughts inside my head were slowly turning into a jumbled mess. I came to the realization that I was downright giddy. That's why, for just a bit, just a tiny little bit, I got a little carried away and did something really stupid. I kicked over a parked motorcycle that was blocking this sidewalk. It was in the same way, sure, but there was absolutely no need for me to kick it. I definitely think I got too carried away. Thunk. Clack. Crash. As 3 bikes toppled one after another like dominoes, the loud noise they caused snapped me back to my senses. Oh, shit. What the hell do you think you're doing? The owners of those 3 bikes were right there. They looked exactly like what you'd call thugs up to no good. They lifted their heads up in an imposing manner and yelled angrily in a way I had never heard before. The 3 of them beelined towards me, the worn-down heels of their thin-soled shoes slapping noisily against the pavement. I could only stare listlessly as if I were watching some far-off event that didn't concern me at all. By the time I realized it, I had been grabbed by the collar and lifted onto my tiptoes. Don't be playing dumb. You knocked them over, didn't you? Huh? The three thugs were completely ignoring the rules of grammar, but the way they spoke was enough to make me tremble. Just like that, my composure drained away. My legs buckled and my throat grew dry enough to crack. I'm sorry. I accident my ass. You kicked it, didn't you, dumbass? I was completely at fault, so there was nothing I could say in my defense. As a result, I was pulled even higher. What the hell, man? The paint's all scuffed. Yo, brat. Who put you up to this, huh? This is your goddamn fault. The three of them continued to yell at me. I had no idea what either of them were saying. Getting further enraged that I was only listening while dumbstruck, they grabbed an empty plastic crate from near my store and began to smash it repeatedly against the telephone pole. Cracks formed in the crate, plastic shards flying everywhere. They then slammed it full force into the shuttered storefront. Smash. The shutter let out a frighteningly loud noise. Still not satisfied, they flipped over a case of empty cans, scattering its contents all over the place. This was not normal. It was something you saw often on television or in manga, but I never thought seeing it in person would be this terrifying. I became painfully aware that the safety of civilized society was only held up by such a frail concept of morals. Ain't that the truth? My knees clattered together noisily. Static began to pepper my vision. This is what you would call absolute terror. No, not quite. There was nothing I could do to stop this frightening spectacle of violence. I could only pray for help. The fear I felt was just too much. Would somebody help me? My gaze floundered about the surrounding area. I was surrounded by these three hoodlums. No way would there be a passerby brave enough to intervene. Maybe this is what you call reaping what you sow. Yes, it is. If I were a passerby, there would be no doubt that I'd ignore what was going on. So this was somewhat of a cosmic retribution. Fucking say something! I'll fucking stab you! Angry yelling, loud enough to rattle my eardrums, spewed forth right in front of my face. My waning consciousness was forcefully dragged back to the forefront. The thug had caught back his free hand and twisted his body, when suddenly a metallic taste filtered through the back of my throat. A chill ran down my spine like a jolt of electricity. Seeing what was going to happen next, I squeezed my eyes shut as tightly as possible and grit my teeth. You're making quite the racket, you stupid pieces of trash. Get out of my sight. That voice was a short distance away. Still holding me by the collar, the three thugs spun around to look behind them. The fuck you say? Standing there was Shion. Mion. She stood there, displaying an imposing stature that I'd never seen before. She didn't have the same look on her face as she did when we were playing around during club. Those were the eyes that would instill fear in anyone who looked upon them, the eyes of a raptor. They were the epitome of terror. At the same time, they were the most reassuring things in the world. I'll only say this one more time. Let go of Ch.2 and get lost. Mion, without an ounce of fear, laid down her ultimatum. Of course, there was no way those three wouldn't go absolutely berserk. The situation instantly turned explosively dangerous. You fucking bitch! I'll fucking bash your head in! Stop it, Mion. These guys are like rabid dogs. No amount of bluffing will work. Mion, it's dangerous. So... I knew what I was saying was pathetic, but I couldn't let Mion get involved in this. No matter how I looked at it, Mion was only bluffing. Have you learned nothing from club activities, Keiichi? But Mion even knew the meaning of the word But did Mion even know the meaning of the word bluff? You've played poker with her. Okay. However, the reason behind everything soon became apparent. They were slowly increasing in number, little by little. At first, it was only businessmen on their way home, stopping to take a look. Then it was housewives in the middle of shopping taking a gander. Next, what seemed like the owner of some store showed up, and it was pretty clear he wasn't just looking. Around Mion, there was already about 7 people gathered. It felt different than people coming out to support a friend. If I had to say why, it was because the group that gathered was diverse in age and gender. The 3 thugs seemed to slowly realize that there was something strange about the situation. Who the hell are these guys? Behind them, at some point, 4 more people of different clothes and ages had gathered. A girl who looked to be in middle school, a man wearing a bakery apron, an old lady in a house-cleaning smock, more and more people of various ages. Their gazes, comparable to Mion's, were of hostility, of intimidation. Before I realized it, over 10 people had formed a ring around us. At that moment, 5 elementary schoolers ran in and joined the circle. There were some familiar faces, some of our classmates. And these people were residents of Hinamizawa? More and more people from Hinamizawa gathered around. In obvious contrast, the residents of Okinomiya were passing by as quickly as possible. The fuck are you guys? Get the fuck away! The group surrounding us had suddenly swelled to around 20 people. Completely encircled, the faces of the thugs began to show the first signs of panic. Nobody spoke a word, Mion included. That made everything completely unnatural, and depending on which side you were on, completely terrifying. Only the thugs' voices echoed out like they were screaming. Somebody took a step forward, closing the gap between them. As they did, everybody else took a step forward, shrinking the circle. The hoodlums went pale as they were pushed together, back to back, while still yelling angrily. They were trying to string together vulgarities, but for some reason it sounded like they were crying out for help. Alright. What's going on here? What's going on? It was sudden. A solidly built officer cut his way through the crowd. At some point, 2 police cars had arrived. Some passerby had undoubtedly called for them. Several burly officers appeared from inside the second vehicle. Oh, officer, good timing. There you go. The extortionists, caught red-handed. Please arrest them. The fuck? This Brett's the one doing wrong here. Mion, returning to her usual self, was nonchalantly pointing out the hoodlums to the police. Of course, the thugs were furious. But now that it had come to this, there was nothing they could do. It was their loss. Okay. Come over here for a sec. Come on already. The officers handcuffed the thugs and dragged them towards the patrol cars. The fuck? Let me go! We're the victims here. Are you listening? Damn it! No matter how much of a ruckus they cause. No matter how much of a ruckus they caused, the officers paid no heed. In the blink of an eye, they were crammed inside the 2 vehicles. They could still be heard yelling while inside the police cars, but what they were saying was no longer intelligible. Are you all right? Are you injured? He was probably a detective. The man leading the police peered at my face. No, not really. Oh, that's a bit of a silver lining then. Well then, have a good year. The portly man, after taking a quick look around, addressed the crowd. Thank you, citizens, for your timely report. Thanks to your efforts, we were able to keep the peace today. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you for your hard work, Detective Oishi. As a citizen, I thank you for your daily efforts. It's an honor for a detective from the 1st Division to come out all this way. This is a very weird way of speaking. The way Shion talked didn't have a very pleasant tone. It was a coincidence. I happened to hear the call over the radio on my way back from the prefectural office. I just made a little detour. Please keep up the good work. I pray for success in your future endeavors. Ah, shucks. It's a good thing there were no injuries, though. Hi, Shion. We're done here. Let's go. Well then, have a good year. He keeps saying year. I'm sorry. Could you make way? The detective, named Oishi, after jovially making pleasantries, lumbered over to the waiting police car. It quickly set off, disappearing down the city street. It was over so quickly. So quickly, I was dumbstruck. I didn't even get to ask the officer what was going on. It was like they came here quickly to disperse the mob before any trouble could start. After making sure the police cars had left, Mion snapped her fingers sharply. Alright, that's a wrap. And don't come back. That was the signal. The tension melted away in an instant as everybody began smiling. A middle-aged man helped me up. Are you okay, young Maebara? Next time pick your fights a bit better. It's not like I wanted to fight. Are you hurt anywhere? If you hit your head, it would be a good idea to get an x-ray taken. And an older lady I didn't know the name of was concerned about my injury. Lucky this happened right in front of the station and I was busy. Otherwise you wouldn't have been able to gather as many people. Next time, be more careful. City kids these days are pretty unruly. Honestly. I was even warned by the old lady in the smock. As Shion finished applauding the dispersing group for their efforts, she strode over to me. Well, you're pretty good, Kei-chan. But I also think you should be more careful about who you pick a fight with. Thanks, Mion. You saved my bacon there. Like I said, I'm Shion. She made a troubled expression as she turned her gaze downward, blushing in embarrassment. I heard from my sister. That first sealed keychain was yours, Kei-chan? Oh, yeah, that's right. I was just heading to the restaurant. And you ended up feeling so excited that you got mixed up in something weird? That was my turn for my face to go red. I didn't want to admit that she was spot on. Well, I was just unlucky. But you really saved me, Shion. You don't have to thank me. So, if you see somebody else getting bullied, help them out, okay? We value that kind of thing very highly here. I was well versed in that sense of camaraderie. But the way I was rescued just now, something seemed a lot off about that. While I was helped out, it was honestly to an almost disturbing degree. You're coming into the restaurant, right? You must be tired, so why don't you relax for a bit? My treat. Seems that she caught the glimmer of suspicion in my eyes. Without waiting for my answer, Shion began walking. Higurashi when they cry. Welcome to Hinamizawa. Why did a sudden large amount of people from town come to save my rescue immediately? It's very strange. Very, very, very strange. So, I got like the Truman Show vibes with that. They're just like always watching and know exactly what I'm doing at all times. Or something. After cooling off a bit inside the restaurant, little by little I realized I was still on edge. There were spots here and there on my body that hurt, probably because I had been so stiff with nervousness. Shion, who had changed into her uniform, brought over 2 glasses of iced coffee. Here you go, iced coffee, on the house. Just bring this coupon with you to the register, and it'll be no charge. My patheticness really knew no bounds. But since she went through the trouble, I might as well take her up on the offer. Even though it had started out as such a lovely day, I had to get carried away and do that stupid thing. I had completely ruined it. Go away, Logic. Nobody needs you. But really, you really saved my hide here. I've really come to see you as reliable. Even I was scared. But Kei-chan was in trouble, so I had to be brave and do my best. While a little embarrassed by what she just said, Shion made a show of folding her arms boldly. Shion, really, thank you. I was thanking Shion, but I really wanted to thank Mion. Mion, really, thank you. Now, cheer up a little. If you feel indebted, then when you have the chance, you should help somebody in need. Like, for example, if I'm ever in trouble, please come and save me. Yeah, of course. It's a promise. You absolutely have to. Taking advantage of my words, she seemed happy about my promise. So if I'm ever in trouble, Kei-chan will come and save me. I hope trouble comes soon. Ah, you finally smiled, she said as she smiled herself, poking me in the cheek. A downtrodden Kei-chan is as good as an imposter. Come on, smile, smile. Stop. Thanks to Shion's meddling, I finally teared up a little. All the muscles in my body that had stiffened because of the incident finally began to relax a little. When you're in a better mood, don't you get a little hungry? I'm kind of hungry, so I want to eat some pancakes or something. Do you want some too, Kei-chan? I wanted to show a little restraint, but restraint really wasn't my thing. That's why I replied without any. No good, right? I'm pretty picky when it comes to pancakes. Don't worry. Our pancakes have a pretty good reputation. Shion ordered some pancakes from a nearby waitress. An employee ordering from another employee seems kind of weird. Hey, speaking of that, aren't you in the middle of a shift? You've just been slacking off while talking to me. I told my uncle that you saved me when I was surrounded by hoodlums, so he's rewarding you. So I have the manager's permission. That's exactly the opposite of what happened. Isn't that right? It's perfectly fine. By the time the pancakes arrived, we had entered into a relaxed conversation. As the two of us ate pancakes, we livened the mood with some chit-chat. About what was on TV, celebrities, that kind of thing. Hobbies, food, really nothing more than idle chit-chat. Talking together like this, I once again became conscious of Shion being a girl. Hey now, that's funny talk, Keiichi Maebara. Shion and Mion are the same person. Probably, but I still question it. I'm suspicious. If there was anything different between them, it was only whether or not Mion admitted she was Mion. But given that, how come our conversation was just different? Kei-chan, you don't think of my sister as a girl, do you? That's not true. If you were a guy, I'd punch the living daylights out of her. I think the reason you guys get along so well is because you have that kind of platonic relationship. That's a pretty rare and enviable thing to have, don't you think? I don't get what you're saying. I kinda do. Good, reliable, platonic, like truly platonic relationship is actually pretty rare, and it actually is really valuable. But it really would be a waste to treat her like a girl. What the hell statement is that? Hey, Kei-chan, that's sexist. Hearing the word sexist was cause for introspection. What was I prejudiced against Mion and Shion for? Mion was Mion. She was the best friend a guy could have, no reservations, and head and shoulders above me when it came to club activities. Kinda literally too, isn't she taller? If I'd met her 5 years earlier, my life would have probably been a lot more fun. Of this, I had no doubt. Then, what about Shion? She was Mion's little sister, and it hadn't even been 3 days since we met. Her relationship was much more distant, as the only thread we had in common was that I knew her sister. And for Shion, it was the same. I was somebody she met 3 days ago, only because I was a friend of her sister's. The difference between Mion and Shion? Friendliness? Familiarity? Playing around with those unclear thoughts for a while, I had stopped listening to Shion. Hypothetically. Okay, are you listening? Sorry, yeah, I'm listening. This is just an hypothetical question, okay? Both me and my sister are in trouble, okay? We're dangling off the side of a cliff. Which one of us do you save? You can only save one. She wasn't saying it to tease me, but had a playful tone behind her voice. That's not a nice question. I want to save you both, but I can't do that, right? Right? You can only save either Shion or Mion. Who do you save? If it were Mion, I don't think she'd be in that situation in the first place, as it's something she could easily get out of herself. But what about the normal, frail Shion? I guess I'd have no choice. It's not my sister, right? If Mion and Shion were different people, I suppose it would come to that. I couldn't confirm nor deny it. She should have been smiling, but her gaze was locked firmly to mine. In other words, that's it, isn't it? My sister is... Huh? Sorry, I messed up what I was trying to say. Shion was trying to talk in a light-hearted manner, but I felt that there was something more behind her words. Was Mion trying to tell me something through Shion? Not being able to put a finger on exactly what it was vexing. Shion, to hide her embarrassment, turned the conversation around. More importantly, just now, were you surprised? Of course I was. If it were Ren or Satoko, that would have been one thing. But for all those people, young and old together, they were all from Hinamizawa, right? Yeah, that's right. Everybody in Hinamizawa is pretty close-knit. That's not pretty, that's insanely obsessively close-knit. An enemy of one is the enemy of all. Nobody's gonna look on from the sidelines. They're a pretty reliable group of residents. What the hell happened in Chapter 1? If somebody's being picked on, then everybody unites to get rid of the bully. It kind of sounds like the Mafia, or the Yakuza's brand of unity. You shouldn't say something like that. It's something you should be thankful for. You were saved by that unity, weren't you? Never forget to show your appreciation. I half-heartedly agreed. I knew full well I should be appreciative. Everybody really is close-knit, aren't they? Maybe it's because of tradition? Hinamizawa has been in danger of becoming a ghost town on several occasions. There's been a history of the villagers uniting together each time to fight for the village's continued existence. For example, Kei-chan, did you know about the Hinamizawa Dam project? Hinamizawa Dam project? Let's see. I feel like I've heard somebody talk about it before. About 10 years ago, there was a sudden proposal to build a dam here, which would have submerged Hinamizawa underwater. Oh, that story. I think I heard my dad talk about that. But I'm pretty sure that plan was cancelled, right? We made them cancel it. Everybody banded together. So that was a well-earned victory. That sounded pretty much like the story I heard. The protests intensified to the point where it was featured in newspapers and magazines. As a result, the plan was suspended. The whole story with the dam apparently started before I was born. At first, the proposal was only for exploratory purposes, or a small dam to control erosion. But then the cat was let out of the bag. If it were completed, it would have been the biggest dam in Japan. Not just Hinamizawa, but several villages upstream would have been submerged as well. The protests immediately began. Petitions to cancel or relocate the project were drafted and submitted to the Diet? They even went so far as to go to the Ministry of Construction in Tokyo to hand over a direct appeal to the minister. The previous landowner, sued the government, stating there were inconsistencies in the purchase agreement and the transaction should be nullified. Owners of yet unacquired land split their properties, increasing the number of landowners in order to stifle the project. It was all very precious when the land acquisition was still about money. I don't quite know what they mean by that. Eventually, they started relying on eminent domain in order to seize land. It started at that point. Eminent domain, that's... I really dislike that. Even though it's literally a founding point in history, I don't like it. The riot police began to get violent. Riot police? You mean the police? Why would they act violent? They punched. They kicked. There was a time I was hit. Right around here, I think. My skin split open and a whole lot of blood spilled out. Must have been one hell of a punch. Saying that, Shion indicated her temple by poking at it. What a... temple? Alright. That's actually a very critical spot. What happened to the police? Finally, a complaint against the riot police for police brutality would seem kind of strange for some reason. Naturally, they wouldn't pay heed to something like that. You wouldn't be able to establish proof on who exactly hit you, and they could justify their actions by saying you were interfering with police duties. And that's why body cams are so important, not just for you, but not just for the police, but for you as well. With the body cams, they can record the incidents unbiasedly, mostly. Makes a big difference. Keeps everybody honest. My Nana went off like a firework. After that, it was amazing. Like a full-scale war. We weren't just going to sit by and idly file complaints. We went on the offensive. First, in order to call attention to the government, they filed a temporary injunction in court. Then, in order to gain public support, they called in prominent scientists to state that Hinamizawa was a valuable nature preserve. They pressured the prefectural and municipal assemblies, saying that the prefectural governor ignored his constituents when he approved the project and demanded his resignation. They completely and thoroughly denounced him. Naturally, in Hinamizawa, a ferocious conflict worthy of being called the Dam War began. In order to suppress the police's brutality, they coordinated with the network channels and exposed the violence of the riot squad members to the public. On top of that, they put together a special expose themed around the government repressing the citizens and aired it nationally. It worked wonders. Following that, the SWAT teams had their hands cuffed. Day after day, the petitions and demonstrations continued. Propaganda was used to help garner support. The circle of support gradually expanded outwards from Hinamizawa. Either that bore fruit, or the government finally decided against it. It was announced that the dam project was indefinitely suspended just a few years ago. We did everything we could. The entire village banded together and fought. At that time, we were desperate. But now that it's over, it actually became a pretty good memory. The villagers' feeling of solidarity and unity still haven't faded. Shion said that as she focused off into the distance. I felt that those eyes weren't filled with anguish, but rather a sense of pride. That kind of solidarity, It's pretty nice. You don't see it too often. Bridging the generation gap and unifying the region. I think so too. The dam project was a trial. I think that just the fact we were able to overcome it is huge. The fear I was feeling until just now gradually began to fade. When people began to show up one after another while I was engaged with those thugs, I thought it was frightening. But now I felt from the bottom of my heart that I had been rude. The villagers prepared to defend their homeland to the death. The sense of solidarity that fostered. It might seem impudent to say this, but I was a little jealous. If I had been in Hinamizawa when the protest against the dam was going on, I might have been able to share in that sense of solidarity. Kei-chan, you weren't here at the time, so I don't think you can fully feel the solidarity in the village. But everybody shares it. Thoroughly. Even with somebody who just moved here like you, Kei-chan. She couldn't have been more right. So many people got together to help me out when I just moved here, even though they were strangers, whose names I didn't even know. A hot feeling began welling up inside of me. When I lived in the city, I didn't even know my own neighbors. Yeah. I thought that was natural. But here, that was an absurd and pathetic thing. Even though I thought of them as strangers, all the other villagers viewed me as a comrade. Happiness and warmth. I was acutely aware of those feelings as they gradually welled up inside of me. Sonozaki-san, the manager wants you to work the floor. A more senior waitress waved her hand and called out to Shion. It seemed like it was time for work. Okay, I'm coming. Sorry, looks like I have to get to work now. That's fine. Thanks for hanging out with me. It was fun. Oh, are you going home? Yeah. My mom gets fussy if I'm not home by dinner time. You just spent time in a restaurant. It seemed that Shion wanted to say something, but she swallowed her words. Like we hadn't talked enough. That kind of feeling. Looking at that expression, I regretted saying something that had disappointed Mion like that. I was about to say that I could stay for a little bit longer when Shion got up from her seat. Here. If you use the coupon, it should cover the pancakes as well. Saying that, she showed me a coupon booklet as she tore out a few sheets and handed them to me. Convenient, isn't it? It's a perk I got on top of my salary. It's okay. I can pay for the pancakes myself. Hey, being so reserved doesn't fit you, Kei-chan. If I were my sister, you would have gladly let me pay for it. She said as she laughed, gently stopping me from opening my wallet. Being told so with such an encouraging smile really resounded with me. Sonozaki-san, sorry, could you take care of the register? Yes, right away. Later. Today was fun. Saying that, Shion smiled one more time at me. Oh, Mia. Thanks a lot for today. I owe you one. If you really think that, then return the favor. I'm looking forward to it. After I said that, I realized I mistakenly called her Mion. I didn't know if she realized it or not. Probably did. Aye. Lazing around and watching television after dinner was part of my daily routine. It might seem like a waste at first glance, but you could say it was an important time when I was able to accrue knowledge of everything from politics to economics to various trivia. After dinner was valuable time well spent while the brain was at its most supplied with nutrients. You idiot! It's obvious that Tokyo Tower is taller. Today I tested my knowledge of trivia by watching my weekly quiz show. Sitting in front of the television, I was able to get a lot of the answers right. I suck at those horribly. It's just, I am not a trivia man. Well, generic history, social trivia. Video game trivia, I'm decent at. But if I were actually up on stage, I'd probably fail miserably. Ch.2. Phone call from Sonozaki-san. Okay. I can't answer that. The whole situation is displayed in a way that you can't prove or disprove it. And since there's no magicalness about it, it's got a grounding in reality, which I can't dispute. It's just really odd. Mion treats Shion like an entirely different aspect. Shion treats Mion like the same thing. Rena hasn't seen Shion, and she's been here for a year. We happen to stumble across her, and she visits our house day after. It's a lot of weird happenstances that theoretically could happen. The other one, Mion is in Hinamizawa. Shion is in the town just on over. And so, does Shion live in Hinamizawa or the city? I'm pretty sure Shion lives in the city, based off the story given. So, why were there so many villagers in the city at that exact moment? And it's... I don't know. Okay. Sonozaki. That's Mion. It was a little late for her to be calling. I had a bad feeling about this. I had a hunch it was something to do with club activities. She was probably going to inform me about what we were doing tomorrow. This was Mion we're talking about. It's the last name. Could be either of them. Technically. She might even go so far as to say we're doing club activities right now, so hurry up and come over. By the way, it was 8 p.m. Hello, moshi. No way we're having a club battle right now. Huh? That's not it. I mean, it was Mion, but it was a very un-Mion-like way of talking. Huh? Could it be... Sorry. Could it be you're not Mion, but Shion? That's right. Good evening. I'm sorry for calling so late. For Mion, this would have been an ill-fittingly polite way of talking. But since it was Shion, it was natural. Even though they were both the same person. It's just... yeah. With a dry smile, I enjoyed that mysterious feeling. No, it's fine. What's up? Kei-chan, do you like sweets, like cakes or desserts? There is no way I hated them. I'm an unabashed glutton. There's no way I hate them. I'm an unabashed glutton. That's great. Actually, there's a new dessert contest this summer. Looks like they have a new dessert menu every season. So they were hiring taste testers for potential desserts. The desserts at Angel Mort have a good reputation. It's pretty difficult to get accepted as a taste tester. I'll get right to the point. Ta-da! You say ta-da, but I can't see over the phone. Still. Could it be... That's right. I have a taste testing ticket right here. If you don't mind sweets, how about it? When you say, how about it, you basically mean, with that ticket, I can eat all the new desserts I want? They say to beware of honey pots, but this is sweeter than any pot of honey. All you can eat free dessert? No way. If you're okay with that, I'll register you as a taste tester. When you come to the restaurant tomorrow, just give the person in charge your name. Then everything will work out. When you say, everything will work out, you mean all you can eat? For free? Yeah, it's free. There's quite a bit, so I recommend you come hungry. This was such a delectable opportunity, it was almost scary. This was really Shion, right? It wasn't Mion posing as Shion in order to bait me into a trap, was it? What am I saying? they're the same person. Yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you're thinking, Kei-chan. You're thinking this is too good to be true, right? I mean, I would never. I say yes. I heard from my sister, but you're really somebody who can't tell a lie. I'm not averse to somebody like that. Shion laughed with a voice that sounded a lot like Mion would laugh. It's not like I was intending on it, but it just so happens that my shift ends early tomorrow. If it's not a bother, I thought maybe we could spend a little time together after I'm done. Your shift ends early tomorrow? Yeah. So while you take your time eating dessert, I'll finish up. Well, I didn't have any plans anyway. I don't mind hanging out with you for a bit. It's not like we have to go anywhere. I was thinking we'd cool off in the evening while we take a walk. There was no reason for me to refuse. Out of courtesy, I might as well take her up on her offer. By the way, Kei-chan, you and I have been meeting up every day, haven't we? Now that you just say it, I guess we have. Since you said okay, we have an excuse to meet again tomorrow. Huh? What was Mion saying? Mion, your voice just cracked. What's the matter? It wasn't a video phone, but she could tell I was beet red. Well then, you should definitely come tomorrow. I'll take my leave here. Good night. Good night. Shion finished with what she had called to say, ended the conversation without any chit-chat. When I returned to the living room after hanging up the phone, the TV was already off and my mom was sleeping in the rocking chair. Not feeling like turning the TV back on, I went back upstairs and returned to my room. I've only been receiving favors from Shion, haven't I? She brought me a bento and saved me when I got involved with those thugs. She was supposed to be a different person, so I could thank Mion at school. Come to think of it, she'd probably just say she'll pass it on to her sister. I have to thank Shion directly. Tomorrow, I'll have to repay her somehow. Higurashi when they cry. Welcome to Hinabizawa. Details of the delinquent 3. I don't know. It's the fact that they've been meeting up every day, and there's the town and then the city. I guess that's a divide that I'm getting hung up on that isn't really much of a divide. Because logistically, practically, physically speaking, it would be very difficult for Mion to be Shion at the same time. Like, Shion is there at the store, the cafe, and then Mion is running errands in town at the game store or something like that. And I doubt we'll ever get an actual definitive answer of whether that could happen or not. So it's if they are the same person, it would be an incredibly difficult double life to keep track of. Details to the delinquent 3, and that's the thing that's getting me hung up. But there's so many similarities, it's hard to argue against it. That's why you're arresting us. Bullshit! Let go of me. Kuma-chan, you can let go of their arms now. Here, please, sit down. The 3 people rubbed their arms painfully. Kumatani-kun and the others must have been squeezing them pretty tightly. Don't get me wrong. I haven't arrested you or anything. Kuma-chan, go get me something cold from the fridge, please. Would you like your barley with foam or without? Hmm? They plunked down onto the reception sofa. Despite not yelling anymore, they still had dangerous expressions. What I'd love to be young again. I'll drink, even if you don't, you know. Excuse me for helping myself. Beer is best when you drink it on the job. As he downed the beer with glee, the three people exchanged glances, then finally reached out for their cans. They hadn't stopped being cautious. It was more like they didn't see a reason to refuse. They each opened their cans and began to drink the contents. Where'd you guys come from? You're not from around here. They looked at each other again, suspicious of whether they should tell him. Are you all college students? Friends on a trip? You were probably traveling on bikes or something. Sounds like fun. I wish I was having. You don't live close by, do you? Where'd you come from? Where'd you go? Osaka, perhaps? What's the matter to you? I can't do their accent, it's weird. Now, there's no use trying to intimidate me. You would have all been in a lot of trouble if I'd left you there, right? They seemed to recall the thrilling events from earlier. While they could understand getting surrounded by students, or a gang, or something along those lines, they would never have been surrounded by locals, both young and old, both men and women before. It was easy to imagine how scared they must have been. If you were from here, the people of Hinamizawa wouldn't have done anything to you, no matter what you had done wrong. They're all special. Not in the sense of parents not wanting to get involved in their children's fights. If one person gets bullied, the village will come out in full force. That's not just an idle threat, you know. They couldn't argue against that. They themselves had been surrounded. They'd seen it with their own eyes. There was no doubt about it. Around these parts, if the people of Hinamizawa gave you a glare like that, you'll simply get demoned away, and no one will hear from you again. You'll suddenly disappear, without a trace. Do you all have families that would get the police to search for you if you went missing? If not, then that's bad. You'll vanish, and that'll be the end of it. Even then, we got there soon enough that nothing happened. If we'd been late, things could have taken a turn for the worse. If they'd been forced into an alleyway, these young men wouldn't be sitting on a couch right now. They might be lying on an autopsy table. Well, probably not. Anyway, perhaps they'd be a little more cooperative if we found them as corpses. How did you all get to Oginomiya? By train? By bike? Bike. That's not good. They're still parked there, aren't they? If you go waltzing in to get them back, they really might gang up on you. Hell's that? We'll take them all. Calm down, calm down. Why are young people these days so quick with the shouting? You don't want any more trouble, right? Tell me the bike license plate numbers. I'll bring them here for you. Kuma-chan, please borrow the loading truck we use for traffic disasters. You got it? Fine. We'll get them ourselves. Do you really want to get surrounded again? The police may not be fast enough to save you this time. That's fine, isn't it? If we're surrounded, then they're gonna get knocked down. Hey, you three. You're drinking the barley with foam, right? Try turning your engines on. I'll arrest you on the spot for drunk driving. That's fucking dirty. Your tax dollars will be put to good use in bringing all your bikes back here. Quit complaining and tell me the goddamn license plate numbers, you pieces of shit. The three were hesitant to tell him the numbers. They were mumbling something along the lines of not remembering them since they just bought the bikes. Well, that's what I thought. Kuma-chan, go with the truck and bring the bikes back. Get the tough-looking red one, the one with a broken right tail light, and the white one that had the packing tape stuck to the seat. It's those ones. They belong to you, right? They didn't answer. Those must be the right ones. Oishi-san, truck is here. So I'll get going. Yeah, please do. Wait, Kuma-chan, hold on. One more thing. What's up? Look up the numbers. You don't want to bring the wrong ones back. The three people's faces changed color. They made themselves very easy to understand. Let's take it easy here until your bikes get back. There's more beer, you know. We have some snacks, too. Want to watch TV? There's probably nothing on, though. Nah, thanks, we're leaving. Don't want to hang here forever. Suddenly, there were 5 or 6 huge officers surrounding them. Their clearly overpowering stares nailed them to the sofa. What did we do? Going on a trip by stealing motorcycles, huh? Students these days have too much time on their hands. Higurashi when they cry. Welcome to Hinamizawa. That's not a very friendly way of going about things. I knew we wouldn't be doing any club activities after school today before Mion even said anything. I'd been invited over by Shion for an all-you-can-eat dessert. I made a point of leaving half my lunch uneaten. My expectations would only be rivaled by my hunger. Ch.2, you seem kind of happy today. Did something good happen? Did it? I guess it was obvious. Rena had questioned me with a happy look. That's right. Why don't I invite Rena for dessert as well? No, if I recall correctly, Shion said something about having a ticket. At worst, the restaurant might be admission by ticket only today. If that was the case, then having Rena be turned away at the door would result in the worst feeling ever. Yeah, I got a little lucky. I'll tell you about it tomorrow. Rena, you'll definitely be jealous. What is it? What is it? I'm jealous, I'm jealous. This lucky thing. Is it cute? Is it? Cute? I wonder what Rena would think of the uniforms at Angel Mort. They'd definitely be a critical hit. Probably. It's probably pretty cute. I'm jelly. What is it? What is it? What kind of fortune were you blessed with? Huh? Could it be you participated in the draw at Angel Mort about 2 months ago? And won? Hey now, I hadn't even transferred here 2 months ago. Oh, that's right. And it's not the Angel Dessert Festa then. Mi-chan, what is the Angel's Dessert Festa exactly? You know, there's that family restaurant called Angel Mort right by Okinomiya Station. Every season, they hold an event to promote their new dessert menu. And that's the day. Oh, it's no use going. The restaurant is reserved for people who won the draw. Mion explained once again that Shion explained to me last night. Rena will have to stop by the restaurant sometime. I'll do my best to draw a winning ticket and aim to enter the next all-you-can-eat event. Knock yourself out. By the way, this is just something I heard, but there's a rumor that the tickets are being sold on the black market for a pretty penny. Hearing that story, I felt even more appreciative of the ticket that Shion had produced for me. I just thought I was lucky to be able to eat dessert for free, but it turned out that that ticket was much more valuable. The number of things I had to thank Shion for had increased again. Thanks. I didn't know it was worth so much. I whispered in a voice only Mion could hear. That was how I conveyed my feelings. Mion looked at me for a moment before she tilted her head to the side and smiled confusedly. What? Did you say something? It would be a problem if you said something to me right now. That smile seemed to be telling me as much. I guess Mion wouldn't be accepting any gratitude while she was Mion. I'll go to the restaurant. Today I'll thank Mion while she's Shion. Well then, this old man will take his leave here. The work today is going to be a little rough. Later. Mion waved her hand energetically as she left. Hey, Ch.2. Mi-chan has been kind of weird lately. Like she's elated or something. What? You think so? Rena was pretty sharp when it came to these types of things. To me, Mion seemed the same as always, but Rena apparently felt something different. You don't know, Ch.2? I totally thought you knew. Rena's skirt fluttered as she spun around with a coy smile. No, what? Exactly. It was obviously weaseling my way out of the question, but I wasn't lying. Honestly, I didn't really know what was going on. Why did Shion, a persona of Mion that she'd created, appear before me? Something was blatantly up, but Rena paid it no heed. Oh, really? I wonder what it is then. When Mi-chan is in a good mood, so is Rena. Oh? Saying that, she spread her arms wide and spun around happily. I didn't know why, but Rena was in a really good mood. It was so infectious that I had to smile too. Even the chirping of the cicadas seemed joyful. But you see? Rena abruptly stopped spinning. Her expression had returned to a more somber one. You see, Mi-chan, lately, she's been in a lot of pain. What do you mean, pain? The pain that Rena was talking about probably wasn't physical. At first she tried to pretend it wasn't a big deal. But like a wound, it began to fester and grow. Eventually she was no longer able to bear the pain and woke up in the middle of the night. And then she phoned Rena. Mi-chan was crying. I'm sorry. What are you talking about? What am I talking about? What is Rena talking about? What? Hey, don't play dumb like that. Just now you said... I don't know. Rena doesn't know anything. No? Rena spun as she laughed innocently. Eventually she appeared to get sick, stumbling as she steadied herself with her hand against the wall. Oh, the room is spinning. It's dumb. That's what you get for getting carried away and spinning like that. Sorry. Oh, I think I feel sick. I lend the ditz a shoulder to lean on. To be stumbling around like a newborn foal at this age is actually quite a feat. Rena, in a good mood, only babbled incoherently after that. I laughed as I responded to and chided her. However, the chance to revisit that heavy topic Rena had brought up before never arrived. Higurashi when they cry. Welcome to Hinamizawa. Something is definitely up. As soon as I got home, I tossed aside my school bag and changed in a hurry. The effects of only having a light lunch were starting to show, as my stomach began to let out fickle growls. Alright, let's go. Angel Mort. It's time to face the land of endless dessert. Preparations for battle are complete. Tally-ho? Howdy, howdy. Welcome, welcome. Just in time for the Costume Family Cafe all-you-can-eat dessert contest provided by our friend. So this is going to be weird. Angel Mort had a decidedly different feel to it compared to yesterday. Dessert festa today, admittance by reservation only. Nonetheless, the front of the store was being swarmed by over a dozen young men. Judging by how they were looking upwards in jealousy instead of entering the store, they weren't invitees. Why would they gather here if they knew they couldn't get in? I found out the answer when I passed through the crowd and began to climb the steps to enter the restaurant. Are you a participant? Do you have a ticket? Yeah. Well, I was lucky. As soon as I said that, I was immediately mobbed. It was like being in the middle of a football scrum or a crowded train. What's going on? The reason was this. It wasn't just one ticket per person. One ticket could let up to 4 people inside. So it's like that, huh? Seems like I should have invited Ren and the others. Thanks for the tip, but I'll pretend I didn't hear that. With an uplifting smile, I turned and ignored them. When I did, their arms all reached out at once, like the souls of the damned seeking sucker. Taking it up to 4 people. Please bring us with you. What selfish people. This was the only reason they were crowded in front of that restaurant. Dozens of wretched arms reached out for me like the teeth of a giant rake, and grasped at the air. I was already climbing the stairs to the entrance. What a heartless dick! Grab him! This wasn't something to joke about. I flew up the rest of the stairs and threw myself inside the restaurant. It was like I had entered a different world. The miserable throng of the damned hurled curses at me from the other side of the glass door. But inside of this completely soundproofed and air-conditioned restaurant was the angelic smile of a waitress to welcome me. They were nothing more than a refreshing piece of scenery. I knew that I shouldn't laugh, but I began to let out a sinister cackle. Good afternoon. Welcome to Angel Mort. Due to today's dessert festa, the restaurant is reserved for customers who won the draw. Could I ask for your name and ticket? I don't have a ticket, but I should be on the guest list. Maebara. There it is. I'm sorry, but may I please have your full name? Keiichi. Keiichi Maebara. Apologies for the inconvenience. You're here by special invitation, right? I'll show you to your seat. Please, this way. The mood inside the room was incredibly heated. The booths were packed to the brim. Men in their prime were stuffing their faces with dainty desserts that didn't suit them at all. It was a rather unnerving spectacle. Soon after, I was shown to my seat. Shion arrived. Good afternoon. Welcome to Angel Mort. Hey, Shion. Thanks so much for today. I really appreciate it. You were a bit late, so I was getting worried. I'm really happy you came, though. It may have been because of other customers were around that her tone was less casual, but she still kept off that welcome with her usual brilliant smile. As you can see, there's a lot of customers here today. I'm not sure I'll be able to take a break. Please take your time and relax until I'm finished. When I'm done, let's go play somewhere, okay? Whispering just that last part into my ear, Shion winked and returned to the kitchen. Maybe it was because the mood in the restaurant was so heated, but Shion seemed a bit bolder. Even a small change in her mannerisms was enough to set my heart aflutter. I guess, yeah. It's pretty interesting, but definitely something else. Sorry to keep you waiting. While I was overwhelmed by the atmosphere inside the restaurant, orders from the new summer menu were carried out one after another. Every single one was extravagantly huge. I get it. You can eat all these amazing things for free. No wonder a ticket was so valued. On top of that, all of it was plenty delicious. From dishes with a general appeal to insane ones aimed at a specific audience, there were absolutely no gaps in their repertoire. No matter how you look at it, I don't think one person can eat this much. Well, let's just leave it at that for now. It didn't feel relaxing in here at all. probably because the fervor inside the restaurant was clearly abnormal. All the other booth seats were crammed with groups of 4. Sleazy men were gorging like pigs on cutely decorated desserts, and it wouldn't have been a surprise if they started licking the plates. It was more than a little unsettling. It piqued my interest, so I started listening in on their conversation, and what things I heard. Angel Mort, so moe. Me? I bought my ticket for 70,000 on auctions. I told work that I was attending a relative's funeral. The uniforms here are the greatest. I wonder if the waitress would wipe it for me if I spilled some water on my pants right now. I heard they're planning on selling Angel Mort figures. We'll have to pay heed at the next event. Speaking of which, that major figure maker decided to bring out the line. We must confirm the release date. The problem is, there's too many variations to bulk buy them. If we were just a normal set of family restaurant uniforms, there'd only be around 10 types, but including the secret set with different poses that are planned, there's 100 or so. Someone, trade with me when I get a double. It's my duty as a fan to complete the collection right away. No, this is destiny between us. The words spilling out of their mouths were pretty much all incomprehensible jargon, but they still keenly conveyed that hidden behind them was an invisible aura of abnormality. Yes and no. Sorry to keep you waiting. The next dessert is Tropical Cinnamon Love Affair. Is something the matter? No. It's kind of different inside the restaurant today. Our restaurant is pretty famous in their circles. Well, we were aiming for that, so it's all well and good. But during Festus, there's something of the more hardcore crowd, so it can be a handful. Star. The waitress informed me quietly with a wry smile. The customers seemed rather riled up, almost like a pack of hyenas. Seems a lot of the customers today came from unreasonably far away. Those types of people are fairly prone to losing their self-control, so it's a little scary. If you don't keep your guard up, something bad can happen. What did she mean by keeping your guard up? At that moment, a large crash resounded through the room. I turned around, startled, to see that a waitress had fallen down and spilled the order she was carrying right onto a customer. Wait, isn't that Shion? I'm so sorry. Your food is, Oh, what have you done? The jeans that I brought at a certain specialty shop for a whole 1,800 yen are all sticky with frosting. What the hell is that? For somebody who just met with disaster, he seems awfully happy. How tragic. It seems that little Miss Waitress here will have to wipe you up from the bottom of her heart. The conversation suddenly veered off in an odd direction. Hey, what did he say? Wipey? Did he want Shion to wipe him down? Right over that obviously aberrant tent he had pitched over his crotch? But that is... Wipey. The wipey chant quickly spread throughout the room. Totally cornered, Shion went pale. She looked over to a more experienced waitress for help, but was only met with a head shaking out of pity. Ozaki-san was tripped. Customers who do that to purposely get their clothes dirty have been on the rise lately. Sir, she was tripped? Then what happened just now wasn't an accident? It was on purpose? The regular girls are careful about it, so they definitely won't end up like that. But Sonozaki-san is only a seasonal hire, so she had her guard down. The customers today could easily pick up on that, so she's been targeted since this morning. What's the manager doing? He should just kick those thugs out. We're in the service industry, so there's not much we can do about it. She laughed as she said that in a resigned tone. That's not service. Shion trembled uncontrollably with a dishcloth in her hands as she turned bright red. The man who had been doused in frostings played out on the bench, putting the cream-covered tent over his crotch on full display. Still, mentally unprepared, her trembling hands seemed forward, goaded on by onlookers. Gum. This is time for the wipey. From my male point of view, it might have been a ridiculous spectacle I could just smile wryly at. But from a woman's point of view, this was obviously pure humiliation. When I was trapped by the thugs and had been paralyzed with fear, Shion fearlessly stood up to them and saved me. Still, as humiliating as it was, Shion was also partly to blame for this. It wasn't as though her life was at stake, right? Even these guys, they were just going to jeer at her in a bit of a lewd situation. It's not like they were going to eat Shion alive or anything. It'd be alright if I just consoled her afterwards. Even I was scared. But Kei-chan was in trouble, so I had to be brave and do my best. When I, a man, was being assailed by 3 thugs while paralyzed with fear, Shion saved me without a second thought. What about now? These sleazy, filthy degenerates were trying to pin the blame on Shion. This time, our roles were reversed. Hey, Keiichi Maebara, if you don't save her now, when will you be able to repay the debt you owe her? You scared, Keiichi Maebara? At that time, Mion, didn't even show a hint of hesitation. Then what about now? I'm not hesitating. Then what? If you're not hesitating, God, they're gonna fly. If you're not hesitating, then why aren't you helping her? Now, resign yourself to your fate. Shut up, you greasy fat ass. Get out of here before I get angry. I grasped Shion's shoulder firmly and pulled her behind me. Kei-chan, the under waitress was the one who wet my pants. The one who needs punishing is you. Enough with the empty words. If you're a man, talk with your fists. Thud, smash. My body was lifted in the air like nothing. I was thrown right back into my own seat. This guy is strong? There's a term that gets tossed around in, at least on the internet, called tard strength. I'll let you figure out what that means. No matter how you look at it, athletic and this lardo aren't even in the same area code. Many otaku are unexpectedly well versed in some obscure martial art. Don't be misunderestimating us. The man smirked, showing off his gum line. Kei-chan, are you okay? Damn it, how lame must I look right now? You were tripped, weren't you, Shion? You're the ones in the wrong here. You don't let them take advantage of you. That may be, but it was still my fault. One more time. Let's do it! Snap, thud, crash. Don't you go thinking that this is enough to make me give up. One more time. Whack, snap, thunk. You're all talk. I'm not done yet. Rise my will to fight. Not just running. I planted every one of my steps firmly as I closed the distance to the lard ball. Each time I dropped my foot off the floor, I could feel my burning spirit flare up from the point of impact. Everything slowed down like I was walking underwater. As I stepped forward in that viscous flow of time, I calmly measured the gap between us. With our difference in height, reach was my ultimate advantage. There was an ever so tiny distance between us where only my punch would be able to reach. I unleashed my iron fist of righteous anger, but it flew towards his face slowly, like I was punching underwater. Reacting to that with a smirk on his face, the fist so easily slipped inside of my punch. I hadn't realized it until now, but in this mired time I was able to observe his baffling counterattack with almost painful clarity. His arm slowly swung around in a large windmill motion, wrapped around my whiffed punch, and descended in an arc. That arm swung around like the arms of a clock, and came into contact with my head, twisting my upper body around. Dragging my head along, he followed through with another rotation. This time he rotated his entire body like a top, followed by another rotation. Combing defense and offense, It was a brilliant counter. That's right. 3 times. I was thrown after 3 rotations, I think. In this viscous region of time, I was unable to struggle, and I could only wait dumbstruck until the moment I was thrown. The moment I was, that sluggish temporal abnormality abruptly ended. Crash! You lack training, young man. I was loath to admit it, but against someone trained in martial arts, I couldn't win through force of will alone. After my consciousness faded in a wave of dizziness, when I came to, I was lying down in my own seat. Thankfully, you weren't injured. The more experienced waitress from before wiped the sweat from my brow with a towel. While she was doing that, a red-faced and teary-eyed Shion trudged over. Are you okay? I'm doing that all for my sake. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, too. I wasn't much help. I've never won a fight before. Technically you did. You just didn't. No, you just trying to help me. No, you just trying to help made me happy. I'm not joking. It's just that I was thinking that it was lucky Kei-chan came here today. As she said that, she stuck her tongue out teasingly. She wiped off the whipped cream with the washcloth she was holding in her hands. Sonozaki-san, you can take your break now. You still have 1 or 2 hours left, don't you? No, it's fine. Even though it's just part-time, it's still a paying job. I want to work properly while I'm on the clock. So really, you don't have to worry about me. She couldn't even put up a brave front. I would never even think for a second that Mion could be that weak. This was Shion, and she had been harassed by some unreasonable riffraff. That was reality. Kei-chan, don't mind me. Please eat as much dessert as you can. When you're done, we'll have you fill out a survey. Well then, I've got to get back to the floor. After some consoling words and a sympathetic smile to Shion, the other waitress started to head back to work. That's where I stopped her. Excuse me. Could I borrow your phone? The phone? It's by the register. I'll show you where. I pulled a 10 yen coin from my wallet. This wasn't about saving face. My being a worthless coward was an unchangeable fact, but I could just cry myself to sleep about that later tonight. Now was not the time for tears. I had to fight. If I recall, 1 ticket is good for up to 4 people, right? Is that alright if I call over 3 more people? Yes, that's fine. For the time being, I'll write them down on the guest list. Could I have their names? I turned around and glared at the greasy hooligan who subjected Shion to that humiliation. There are 3 things that aren't working in your favor today, punk. The first is that I owe Shion. The second is that I'm a man who's not afraid to throw away his pride to win. And the third is that we're the most powerful club members in history. Please add Rena, Ryugu, Satoko Hojo, and Rika Furure to the guest list. Understood. I'll do that. I'll have the best and most powerful club members join the fray. They can bring down 1,000 foes. You fat asses. Prepare to meet your maker. This is a nice restaurant. Oh, the uniforms are cute. Rena wants to wear them too. Oh. On top of that, we're being treated to dessert. I'm deeply moved. Yeah, eat as much as you like. Don't worry about my share. Keiichi-san, enough with the charades. Let's get to the point. Rena and Rika-chan put down their forks when Satoko broached the subject. After looking at them for a few moments, I pressed my forehead firmly into the table. I beg of you. I don't care if you make fun of how pathetic I am. Please lend me your strength. The 3 of them seemed surprised by the sudden turn of events, but nevertheless listened to what I had to say without making fun of my unusual behavior. Oh, what's the matter? Something happened, didn't it? didn't it? Actually, Mion's younger sister Shion is working part-time at this restaurant. Ah, that little sister you were talking about, right? Could it be her? Could it? She resembles her. Resembles her. Resemble? That's just Mion with her hair down, isn't it? I didn't know what to say. If Keiichi says that's Shion, then that's Shion. They might be twins, but can they really look that much alike? They're called monozygotic twins. They really can look identical. That's how twins work, most of the time. Rena gave the most plausible explanation, so everybody else was convinced. Well then, do you believe me? I'll get to the point then. I recounted everything that had just happened. How Shion was targeted, how she was antagonized by the customers, and the humiliation that was forced upon her. And how incredibly pathetic I was. I included everything without trying to hide it. That's awful. Poor Shi-chan. However, for you to be unable to help her, there should be a limit to how unsightly you can be. There's nothing I can say to that. Satoko-chan, to admit that you lost and to seek help is a very difficult thing to do. Can be. Keiichi-chun chose to help Shi-chan rather than save his pride. So pathetic. Rena's follow-up stung a bit, but I can only be thankful that she understood. Satoko was calling me all sorts of names, but there were no malign intentions behind her words. Then, what should we do? Her voice was monotone, but there was a hint of resolve in her words. I replied to Rika-chan's suggestive silence in kind of my own quiet resolve. Well, I thought it would be something like that. It's a bit much for Keiichi-san to handle alone. Then, you'll help? Of course, Keiichi-kun. We'll help anybody who's being bullied. I remembered when I was cornered by those thugs, what Shion had said about the strong feeling of solidarity in Hanamizawa really began to hit home. However, Keiichi Maibara, now is not the time to get choked up with tears of gratitude. Now is the time to fight. Sorry, I owe you one. You tried your best, but didn't stand a chance alone. How sad, how sad. Rika-chan gently patted my head for me. But there was no mindless pity in the palm of that hand. It was overflowing with a strong, dependable feeling of leave the rest to us. Mion can't join us due to various circumstances, so I'll temporarily be taking command. Our strategy will revolve around Shion's defense and the extermination of the enemy's combat capability. Who's the enemy? Are there a lot of them? From this point forward, anybody who messes with Shion shall be considered an enemy combatant. There are no rules of engagement. Compensation will be the dessert you just ate. Any questions? Everybody had already entered club mode, their eyes peering at the riffraff clamoring around inside the restaurant like predators stalking their prey from the darkness. Rika-chan held up her hand. What is it, Rika-chan? Do we have to show mercy? Of course we don't have to. We have no need to show mercy to the rabble that would dare lay a finger on Mion's little sister. And it's okay, Keiichi. Rika-chan was serious. Got a dog barking. Rika-chan was serious. She was really ready to pretty much murder someone. I'm counting on you, Rika-chan. I, Keiichi Maibara, shall assume all responsibility. Rout them. Alrighty. Rena's gonna do her best too. Sorry. Please do. Keiichi-san, you don't have to be so tense. Well, just wait and see. By the time you finish that parfait, we'll have finished cleaning up too. Well then, everyone, let's give it our all. Go for it. Yay! Yay! Thus, the most powerful warband in the world had ever known, trained by Mion, began to move. I was the oldest, the only boy, and behaved like a leader, but when you consider our club activities, I was by far the most junior member. Individually, everyone besides me had terrifying combat capabilities, If all of them combined their strength to protect Shion, I couldn't even imagine. I was probably about to witness something terrible and awe-inspiring. Sonozaki-san, 5 look parfaits for table 7. Sure thing. Shion carried the order to the tables. For Shion to carry all 5 parfaits without wobbling took so much effort that she didn't have the breathing room to pay attention to her feet. Comrades, here she comes yet again. This time we'll have her spill everything on my pants, and have her given an especially thorough wipey. God, I hate that. It was the same wipey scheme that had occurred just a short time earlier. This time, another one of them was trying it out for himself, and very depravedly of those men was intent on a full-out attack. Rena, this is Keiichi. Ambush them around tables 5 and 6. Rena, do you copy? The restaurant's uniform, so cute. Oh, I want to take them home. Shion, her bottom swaying while carrying the parfaits, was being chased by an equally swaying Rena. She was supposed to be escorting Shion, but Rena was instead transfixed by the back of her uniform. From a normal person's point of view, it was probably like having a fox guard a henhouse. But when it comes to Rena, things are different. Cute mode, 120% synchronization. We've won. When Rena's in that state, even lots of physics don't apply. Shion's legs, unsteady and defenseless, were being targeted by those sleazebags. No, my comrades. Hail, mein Führer, signing Lucifer as the Humori's Mecha. A leg snaked out to trip Shion's defenseless feet. Egads, 3 of them at once. It happened in an instant. The 3 fools writhed in pain as their legs bent at unnatural angles. What is this madness? Rena teetered into view and gave them a warning. No mischief, okay? No means no. No. Rena's going to be the one to take her home. This girl, what's with that strange technique? The human scum clutched at their bruised ankles as they passed out. It's a Renaissance. No matter how many times I see it, it's always frighteningly quick. Yeah, it's an unbreakable barrier. Endless 9. Anyone within a 2-meter radius who attacks Shion is completely obliterated by Rena. As Shion was making her rounds to the restaurant, there were people here and there collapsing with welts on their legs or hands. Oh? Keiichi-kun, this is Rena. There's nobody left that'll bother Shi-chan, so I'm gonna take her home now. Rena, this is Keiichi. Good work. Please continue the mission. Also, permission to take home denied. I repeat, permission to take home denied. And I'll just look. Oh. I guess just looking is fine. That wouldn't prevent her from guarding Shion, so I guess it's okay. Anyway, thanks to this, I knew who had tried to mess with Shion. Anybody who was clutching at their arm or leg while they were writhing in agony was basically branded by their bruises. Currently, we've finished identifying all enemy forces, proceeding to the next phase. Satoko, this is Keiichi. What's your status? This is Satoko. That's a rude way to ask. Keiichi-san, exactly who do you think I am? Satoko was in the kitchen. She had spread open a sketch of the restaurant on the counter, complete with order chits and their destinations, was now sorting through the freshly made desserts. Hey, what are you doing? No. Sonozaki-san, it's alright. Just leave it to her. More importantly, we're taking all these orders out at once. I'm counting on you. The veteran waitress was briskly directing her juniors as the trays went out one after another. All the desserts that had passed through Satoko's hands were delivered at once. Oh, lots of cute desserts are coming. Oh, I think you know this, but don't touch them. At least if you still value your life. I know, but... Oh. Certainly, they were all incredibly cute-looking desserts. They were all works of art that you could enjoy before even taking your first bite. However, since Satoko had melded with them, they were nothing more than an unpredictable danger. Blissfully ignorant of the fact that were the men now stuffing their faces. Almost right away, they realized that something was wrong. Satoko, what did you mix in there? It couldn't have been salt or Tabasco, right? My, what are you saying, Keiichi-san? You said no mercy. I might not look like it, but when I get down to business, I like to be very thorough. As she said that, she twirled a dubious pinwheel in her fingers before putting it away smartly into her pouch. Mika, this is Satoko. The customers are moving. Escort duty is all yours. Leave it to me. Come to think of it, I didn't see Rika-chan anywhere. Where could she be lurking? Clatter, clatter. Several men stood up suddenly from their seats, surveying the restaurant for something. That restless fidgeting, and that look of relief when they found the single placard hanging from the ceiling. Written on that placard was the word restroom. They began a mad rush in that direction. It wasn't just one or two people. All the people that were branded as the enemy were standing up from their seats while clutching at their stomachs. I think I'm a little too greedy. Where's the washroom? It'll do. Not a number one, it'll never do. Need a cash out, meow. Where's the toilet? I found it. You're in for it now. I felt dirty just thinking about what Toko probably did to their desserts. The problem was how to follow this up. I was intrigued, so I followed the rush of men to the washroom. The narrow hallway connecting to the restroom was crammed with about 10 men. Oh, what is this? As I peered over to see what was happening, it seemed that the toilet was clogged and backflowing, unleashing a loud gurgling sound and a terrible stench. There was no way to use it in this state. Damn that Satoko. What a frightening display of power. No, this wasn't Satoko's doing. It was divine punishment. Yeah, they were just unlucky. I'll just apologetically ask one of the employees here to clean it up. I can't do my business like this. What do we do, meow comrades? It was a brilliant combination of traps, but it would be better if there were one more push to the kicker. Seeing as it was Satoko, she wouldn't have overlooked that. No, let's come to this. It's time for the last resort. Faced with a moral dilemma, that man only had one other option. Women's restroom. Is it using the girls' room going to get us in trouble? I'm pretty sure there's no female customers today. Why didn't I think of that before? Women's toilets are the best. I'm having to voice this shit. What a brazen bunch they are. The men, sweat now pouring from their brows, made a mad rush to the girls' room without any hesitation. Me? There was the girl there. It was Rika-chan. The men stood there, frozen in various complicated poses indicating their surprise. Rika-chan also seemed dumbfounded by the sudden turn of events. But the look on her face was strangely perfect. This was all part of the plan as well. You sly dog, Rika-chan. I could never underestimate you. This is... But Me. The men's room is a bit dangerous at the moment, so we just want to borrow the toilet here right now, Mion. Me. But I guess it's hard after all, right, my comrades? Just by having a girl stand there in the restroom, I never knew it could put up such an overwhelming barrier. There was no way anybody could be brave enough to lift Rika-chan out of the way to try and do their business. This was the most they could do, after all. If it were a man in full club mode, for example, someone like me, they would plow right through Rika-chan without a second thought. Now, what are you gonna do, you fat asses? The price for tormenting Shion still hasn't been paid. If you're in trouble, I can help you. That would be much appreciated. How would you do that? You can use one of the toilets outside. I'll show you them. That would be perfect. Please, please. At this rate, I'll end up becoming group. Rika-chan, with a pleasant smile on her face, guided them with a casual stride in her step. In this race against time, her slow pace was sadistic torture. Mademoiselle, is this toilet far from here? We'll get there soon. Obeying Rika-chan's directions, they were about to leave the restaurant. Keiichi-kun, finish it. Give him hell. Yeah, leave it to me. I spread my arms out and blocked them as they tried to leave the restaurant. What's the meaning of this? We're at DEFCON 1 here. Listen up, you tubs of lard. You know what happens if you even set one foot outside the store, right? What's the meaning of the preposterous statement? Look, it's written right here on the ticket. Not valid for re-entry. See? You're free to use any toilet you want, but the moment you step outside that door, you can't come back. Boom. You'll remember this. I don't want to guide anybody who says scary things like that. Everybody panicked as Rika-chan began to turn back. They could only figuratively and literally fall in line. All the waitresses also lined up to see them off. Thank you very much for coming. We shall return! Cling cling. The bell rang playfully as the door shut behind them. Shit, this is going on for a while. Hey, how pathetic. Too easy. We did it! Yay! Rena and Satoko clapped their hands together. I can hold the candle to those guys by myself. When we get the group together, we sent them packing like a herd of cattle. With opponents this week, any of us could take them on by ourselves. Keiji-san, you need to up your game. I was loath to admit it, but Satoko was right. Damn it. One day I'll be strong enough to be worthy to stand alongside them. But I'm really glad we were able to protect Mii-chan's little sister. Now there's none of those bad people who are pulling pranks left. We're blessed to have such wonderful friends, Sonozaki-san. The veteran waitress was also smiling. After the herd was sent packing, it had calmed down completely inside the restaurant. Shion was flustered as she graced between us and the now empty seats. Glance. You did that for me? I mean... Shion's expression was somewhere between happy and guilt-ridden. Her face had turned slightly red as she ran into the kitchen. Oh, Chi-chan's cute. They really are twins. Given Shion's personality, there's no way she'd thank us directly. We might have been a bit excessive in our means, but I'm really glad we were able to save her. I think you know this already, but Sonozaki-san is very grateful. As a representative of the floor staff here, I also extend my gratitude. Clap, clap, clap. The applause quickly spread throughout the entire restaurant. Not only the other waitresses, but also the customers that were genuinely there to enjoy the desserts. Everyone was lauding our efforts. I'll call it there, because we are way over time. We'll continue it on for next time. Anyway, that was interesting and different. Let's see where it gets us. Anyway, take care, everybody. Have a good one. I hope you had fun. That was definitely something else.